Welcome to the documentary channel. We will talk today about Christian nationalism in the US. Is it a threat to democracy or a return to tradition? A cross and an American flag intertwined. A sermon that sounds like a campaign speech. A vision of a nation that is not just blessed by God, but belongs to one particular faith. This is not just patriotism. This is Christian nationalism, one of the most potent and controversial forces in modern politics. A pastor said, "We need to make America God's nation again." A conservative activist said, "It is about protecting our Christian heritage." The questions here are, is Christian nationalism a fundamentally anti-pluralistic vision? Is it a faithful call to revival or a threat to democratic freedom? To understand the America of today, and perhaps of tomorrow, we must understand this movement. This means we need to dive into the ideology, history, and goals of Christian nationalism. Let us define the undefined. What exactly is Christian nationalism? First, let us define our terms. Christian nationalism is not synonymous with Christianity or with being a Christian who is politically conservative. It is a specific political ideology. It argues that America is, and should be, a fundamentally Christian nation. Its core beliefs often include, first, a foundational myth, which means the United States was founded as a Christian nation on biblical principles. Second, a fusion of identity, that to be a true American is to be a Christian, or a specific type of Christian. Third, the political endgame, that the civil law should be based on a particular interpretation of biblical law. Scholars like Andrew Whitehead and Samuel Perry, authors of Taking America Back for God, define it as a cultural framework that blurs the line between Christian and American. It is less about personal faith and more about national identity and power. This is crucial. Criticizing Christian nationalism is not the same as criticizing Christianity. Many Christians are among its most vocal opponents, arguing it idolizes nation and power and distorts the message of Jesus Christ. Is Christian nationalism a new name for an old idea? Let us explore the historical context. While the term is new, the sentiment is not. The idea of a Christian nation has deep roots in American history. Think of the 19th century Manifest Destiny, which expressed strong Christian nationalist undertones and said that God had ordained American expansion across the continent. Think of the Prohibition era. The temperance movement and prohibition were early examples of using the government to enforce a specific Christian moral code. Think also of the Cold War era propaganda, which added the words "under God" to the pledge. The Cold War cemented the identity of America as a God-fearing nation, in opposition to godless communism. This is when the phrase, "In God we trust," became the official motto and was added to paper currency. But the modern movement as we know it was forged in the 1970s and 80s with the rise of the moral majority and the Christian right. Religious leaders like Jerry Falwell Sr. mobilized evangelicals into a powerful political bloc, aligning with conservative politics on issues like abortion and school prayer. Let us talk now about Christian nationalism as a blueprint for power and expose its goals and strategy. So, what does the Christian nationalist movement want to do? Its goals are increasingly visible and organized. First, influence education by advocating for school vouchers, opposing LGBTQ+ inclusivity, and promoting curricula that teach the so-called Christian founding narrative. This includes battles over school boards and library books. Second, shape law and policy by supporting laws that restrict abortion, LGBTQ+ rights, and religious freedoms for non-Christians, based on a specific interpretation of Scripture. Third, control the narrative by building a massive media ecosystem of news outlets, podcasts, and social media influencers that reinforces the ideology and creates a shared identity and reality for followers. Fourth, the Seven Mountains Mandate, which is an influential concept calling on Christians to take dominion over 7 key areas of society: family, religion, education, media, entertainment, business, and government. Politically, Christian nationalism often aligns with a strongman approach to leadership, a leader who will get things done and protect the in-group, even if it tests democratic norms. Let us now outline the democratic dilemma, criticisms, and concerns. Why do critics, including many theologians and historians, sound the alarm? Their concerns are fundamental. A critic said, "Christian nationalism violates the Establishment Clause of the First Amendment. America was founded not as a Christian nation, but as a nation with no state religion, where all faiths are free to practice." Another critic said, "Christian nationalism is inherently exclusionary. If America is a Christian nation, what does that make non-Christians? Second-class citizens?" A Christian theologian said, "Christian nationalism risks idolatry by placing the nation and its power above God. It conflates the cross with the flag." Historians point out that the Christian nation claim is based on a selective reading of history. While many founders were religious, they designed a secular government, explicitly avoiding a religious state like the ones they had fled in Europe. The core criticism is this: Christian nationalism is anti-pluralistic. Democracy requires a public square where all citizens have equal standing, regardless of faith. Christian nationalism, by definition, seeks to privilege one group above all others. Americans are at a crossroads. What is the future of the American experiment? Today, Christian nationalism is no longer a fringe element. It is a well-organized, well-funded force that exerts significant influence within a major political party. The central question it poses to American democracy is this: can a nation founded on the idea of religious freedom and the separation of church and state remain faithful to those principles if a movement seeking to merge them gains power? The debate is no longer theoretical. It is happening in school board meetings, state legislatures, and the highest courts. The future of American pluralism may depend on how this tension between religious identity and civic equality is resolved. Christian nationalism is more than a political strategy. It is a story that millions of Americans tell themselves about who they are and who their country should be. It is a story of belonging, order, and reclaimed glory. Yet, it is a story that often comes at the expense of those who do not fit its narrow definition. Understanding this ideology is not about disparaging faith, but about defending a vision of a country where freedom of religion also means freedom from religion imposed by the state. This is one of the most critical conversations of our time. What do you think? Where's the line between faith in the public square and imposing faith? Share your thoughts respectfully in the comments. For further reading, see Taking America Back for God by Andrew L. Whitehead and Samuel L. Perry, The Power Worshippers by Catherine Stewart, and Bad Faith by Randall Ballmer. If this video helped you understand a complex issue, please give us a like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more documentaries that explore the ideas shaping our world. Thanks for watching.